So in regards to the Quran, one of the reasons why I believe that to be a good, it's like the dictionary in English language. Do you believe that to be a good book?
A good book. I think it's good insofar as it's accurate.
I agree. So you see, when a person looks in the Quran and they read it without understanding the context of when it was revealed and what it was revealed for, people can have misunderstandings and misconceptions. Like with the Bible, it was revealed in Greek, not English.
Oh, you're just holding it there. Okay, yeah. Sorry,
it was
carry on.
revealed in a different language, and then it was translated.
The Bible was revealed in what language are you saying?
I don't know. You may know better. Which language?
So, well, we would say the Injil, what you call the Gospels, we would say that was originally wrote in Koine Greek.
Okay.
Now, the argument, of course, is going to be, well, Jesus spoke Aramaic, why would it be wrote in Koine Greek? Well, Jesus spoke Aramaic, Greek, and Hebrew. So, for example, he's from a town in Galilee, which speaks...
You've not spoken him in person, right?
Okay, well, wait, but this is what we infer from the text. This is a scholarly understanding of what the historical Jesus knew.
Would you say you're a scholar?
No.
Right, so I'm speaking with Philip as Philip.
But I'm giving you from a historical sources.
I'm trying to speak with Philip as Philip, not as a scholar, not as
yes,
someone
but
else.
I'm giving you evidence for my claim, no?
I'm trying to speak with you based on what you know, not what someone else told you or what someone else said.
Yeah, which is why I'm giving you evidence,
I know,
right?
I know, but right now, what I'm trying to say is, the point which I was trying to say with the Greek, the different language, it was...
Would it be okay if I just responded though, because I'm letting you go on for quite a while.
Right. Apologies.
Okay.
So going back to the Quran thing which I was trying to say, it's revealed in Arabic, but those who don't understand Arabic, it's difficult for them to translate it. And when they translate it and without understanding the context, it can become a bit confusing for some people. And in regards to clear up the fact that the misunderstandings, it takes time. It's like right now, we're not able to have a dialogue without...
Yes.
Because you have questions when I speak and I have questions when you speak.
Of course.
So for me, I studied it without asking questions, and I realized, okay, the reason why people have misconception, even within Muslims, it's like we're all British technically, or we're in UK right now, but there's still fights happening, there's still wrong things happening. Doesn't mean England as a whole is a bad country. Just because certain aspects or certain people can't get along doesn't make it a bad place. Similarly with the religion itself and the Quran, because there's misunderstandings, people have misunderstandings.
So to make it clear, our criticism of Islam isn't about the way that individual Muslims would act, right? Because obviously individuals from any group can act in an inconsistent manner. For example, the highest death toll in history comes under an atheist regime in the Soviet Union by Joseph Stalin, right? And for example, we have many wars in history which have been committed by both Christians, Jews, Muslims, etc. So I wouldn't say we should judge a religion based off of individual characters, but rather based off the moral principles in which the religion speaks about. But my key point in criticizing Islam or Judaism or any other religion isn't to point towards morality itself, although that is something which can be argued about to reach towards truth if we're consistent with naturally revealed moral virtues. However, my point would be more towards a philosophical perspective on Islam and why I don't think it's true from that perspective, such as an understanding of Tawheed. I don't think is philosophically coherent because of Allah's essence being distinct from his attributes.
Which attributes?
So, for example, Ar-Rahman, right? Allah being, that means all merciful, correct?
So, do you like... yeah, it does.
Yes.
To answer your question. So, to answer your question with regards to Tawheed, Allah has different qualities.
Yes.
Right? So, for example, one of my qualities I can speak.
Yes.
One of my qualities I can also stay quiet. One of my qualities also I can raise my voice.
Yes.
One of my qualities I can also speak quietly. Similarly, with the Almighty Creator, the Creator of the heavens and the earth, He is Ar-Rahman, the most merciful. Ar-Rahim, the most beneficent.
Yes.
Al-Malik, the one who's the owner. And there's many other names. As-Sabur, He's the most patient.
Yes.
Al-Ghafur, He's also the most forgiving. Al-Alim, He's also the most knowing. And there's many other names.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense, but my quarrel here is with the analogy, this is what I'm trying to drive towards, right? Because you say you have the attribute of being able to speak. You have the attribute of being able to laugh or something like that. Now, we wouldn't say, I'm just going to call you lion from this conversation, because that's what you told me. So we wouldn't say that being able to laugh is the whole of lion, right? We'd say that's something which is describing less than the whole of you.
One moment,
but
just to clarify.
Wait, can I just
You called me
finish?
lion, I just want to clarify that point. Lion is the meaning
of your name in Arabic,
in
yes.
Arabic, yeah.
I'm
So it's
aware.
Lion of the Merciful, Hamzat Rahman. So I just want to clarify.
But we established it's okay if I call you lion, correct?
Sorry.
Yeah, of course. So the problem, yeah, of course. Unless you want me to call you something else, I'd be more than happy to.
That's fine.
Lion's a cool name anyway. So the point is, right, with Lion or Thomas or SY, right?
That's me, that's right.
Being able to laugh, being able to speak, these are things which describe less than the whole of the subjects that we're talking about. So therefore they would be a part of the subject, because what a part is fundamentally is just that which is less than the whole of its subject. However, if there are things about God which are less than the whole of God, then we would have parts inhering in God's essence. And my problem with that is I would say it's metaphysically impossible that God should have parts. So for example, you sound like you want to say something.
So I'm not understanding the question that you're trying to clarify.
Yes.
I think this point is that the main critique in Islam is, okay, you can go through different methods. For one, you can go to the metaphysical method. So metaphysics is
about
studying,
what? About the Quran or Allah?
No, about Islam.
In general. Okay.
Yeah. Metaphysics is studying nature, the nature of Allah, as Islam.
When you say metaphysics, be a bit more what you mean. So
yes, it's the study of
being.
Yeah, the study of being.
Okay.
So like studying trees, studying phones, everything.
Yeah.
So in this study, the Islamic idea of Allah is completely incoherent with an accurate metaphysical analysis. Right? It's the same way if I say that iPhone is an Android, that's completely incoherent because its software is iOS and such and such.
True. So the reality is we don't actually know what God looks like.
But it's not.
But we can. So earlier on in the discussion, right, we reasoned that the causes of a thing can help us make inference. Sorry, the effects of a thing can help us to make inferences back to the cause, right?
No. But
so, for example, just before you go on,
so it's easier to answer.
So the straightforward question is this, right? You've said that the attributes of God are really distinct from God Himself.
I didn't say that.
Okay. What I mean by distinct is just it's not the whole of the thing. It's not identical to that thing.
Like you currently are wearing something which is a blue color. Doesn't make you wearing a blue color all the time, right? Mm-hmm. You can change whatever you want to change to, right? Now I don't know if God, His attributes, when it's His qualities. So clearly, it's like you're right now. You're speaking to me. You're listening. You're not even speaking.
Yes.
But you can't speak and listen and not talk at the same time. Mm-hmm. But you can do all of it at some point.
Yes,
right?
But those potencies are within me, correct?
Not necessarily, because what you see, you don't really see within you.
I'm saying I have the potential to do that existing in me, right?
Again, you can't really hear within you. You have to hear from outside.
But
for him to hear from outside, he has the capacity to hear, right?
Yes.
That's what I mean by potency.
So I believe God Almighty has the capacity, in essence, from what you're saying, to be the most merciful, to be the most forgiving, to be all these other qualities.
Yeah. Well, do you mean that God? I don't think you mean He has the capacity to be those, but that He actually is those, right?
I don't know the difference what you mean.
Well, because if God has the capacity to be those, then that would just be saying God could.
Yet.
Yeah, He's not those things yet, but He could gain those things. Well, I think you're trying to say God does have these as qualities.
Have you done 10 press-ups?
Yes.
So you have the capacity to do it, right?
Yes.
But He's not done it yet.
Right, but He's done it in the past.
But even
right.
Yeah, but God isn't temporal.
To do it.
But look, you're gonna have a sequence now. So let's just say He said He's done it in the past, right?
Right.
So let's just say yesterday.
Okay. So you can do it. Can you do 100 press-ups?
100. I don't know about 100.
Okay, so you can't do 100 press-ups. Potentially, He has the capacity or the possibility or the ability to do 100 press-ups.
The point is that the moment,
what is the point?
The moment that you say that He has the capacity to do something and He's not done it yet, that means He needs to change in order to do it.
Have you done 10 press-ups yesterday?
Yesterday, no.
Okay, when was the last time you did 10 press-ups? Okay, but
I don't really do press ups. I do bench press.
Did you drink water?
Yes, yesterday.
Okay, did you drink water yesterday?
Yes.
And the day before that?
Probably, yeah.
Are you going to drink water tomorrow?
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
so do you have the ability to drink water?
Yes. No, so we agree with you on what. Well, I think we are agreeing on what potency is, but I don't think we would describe God's attributes as passive potencies, right? Because God doesn't have the potential to gain attributes, but God has the attributes already as his qualities. Now, God has the potential to utilize those attributes in his acts. From your perspective, right? God could, for example,
use his power to
create a brick randomly here, ex nihilo, right? God could do that. But I'm not. That's what we call active potency. We're talking about God doesn't have passive potency, which it sounds like you would agree with. But what you said earlier, right?
So what are you trying to?
Passive.
One moment.
Yeah.
What are you trying to reach? Because as you said, as you said at the beginning, we're trying to have a conversation, and I'm trying to understand your perspective. So I'm not trying to convert you, and I hope you're not trying to.
Neither am I. It's an honest conversation, exchanging views.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
And I respect you for that.
Appreciate it.
So, what I'm saying is, earlier you used the analogy of God's qualities, right? And you said God's qualities, or what we would call attributes, are distinct qualities. So for example, in us we have the quality of being able to laugh, hear, listen, speak. Now what I'm saying is that analogy actually perfectly fits, because if we say that these attributes are distinct from one another, they would become parts of the subject. And the reason why is because a part is just that which is less than the whole of a subject. So this thing doesn't describe the entirety of God.
Have you ever come across a situation where you're having a conversation, and what you mean by what you say, though the person who's hearing you is getting a different understanding from it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So similarly, how you say what you say, and how I say what I say, there's misunderstandings at times. But this is just with everyone. And this is my concept, that everyone has a perspective they see. So as I said it before, if you look here, you can't see any nails, right? Yep. Can you see any nails?
See that one.
Okay.
But other than that one,
I can see 5 nails, and you can't. Now, right now, I can't see any nails.
Yeah.
Right? It's perspective.
I think his point is that there's so many.
Let me speak with him, because I think he's clearly smart enough to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'll let you speak next.
I'll speak with you after, if that's okay. Does that make sense? Is that fair? Thank you. So what I'm trying to say is, each and every single person has a perspective which they feel is right, and sometimes, especially like from my first experience here today, is everyone's trying to impose their religion on others and to prove why their religion is better than another person's religion.
That's what
All I'm trying to say is, I'm not saying your religion is better than my religion. I'm not saying my religion is worse than your religion or any other thing. All I'm trying to understand is have a dialogue and understand what your religion is and what I believe of my religion. I may be wrong, you may be wrong.
Yep. Okay.
Even within Muslims, we have discourse as to how certain Muslims are wrong and certain Muslims are right. Similarly with Christianity, they all believe in the same book and still believe in the same God, but yet they still have you're this or you're that. Like,
yeah.
Previously with Ish, and there was a Jehovah Witness, and he's like, oh, she's whatever. I'm like, no, she's still a human being, like us, everyone here.
Yeah, I don't think we're disagreeing on. I don't think we're disagreeing on that point there. I know you want to speak, so is there anything you'd like to clarify so we can get towards what I'm getting towards?
I think his rhetoric, which means the way that he's speaking, seems to align with like a pluralistic point of view. There's so many perspectives, so that you can't really indicate, or he might not be saying that you can't really indicate, but to say that, look, my religion is better than your religion, when people have so many perspectives, it's kind of not. But the point is, you could just do this for anything.
I agree with you.
You could do this for 1 + 1 is 2.
Agree.
Someone might think 1 + 1 is 3.
Yeah, I agree. And
like Clarence Howard, he believes 1 + 1 is 1.
If they don't want to change the perspective of 1 + 1 is 3, no matter what you say to them, they will not believe it unless they come to the understanding themselves.
But then look here.
One moment. So this is why my point is, I'm not trying to enforce anyone to accept that 1 + 1 = 3 is right or wrong. All I'm trying to show is, I've come across my studies that 1 + 1 is 2. If you want to believe it's 3, all I'm saying is you might be wrong.
Okay.
I'm not saying you are wrong, because from my perspective you are wrong. But from your perspective, you would say 1 + 1. I'm just giving it as an example. 1 + 1 is 3, and I say no. I think 1 + 1 is 2.
But then I'll say this.
We are, you'd be entitled to your opinion. So would I be to mine?
I mean, we would agree with you that we can't force someone to change their opinions, right? However, someone that is looking towards the virtue of truth and wants to pursue after that is going to inform themselves on evidence and come towards a reasoned conclusion, which is what we're trying to do here. We're offering evidence for our positions, we're offering reductio ad absurdums, we're offering...
Our position. I'm trying to have a conversation with one person at a time.
We have the same position,
as I said,
on this.
If I put my hand here, you will not see any nails, but he will. I'm not trying to debate you. I'm just trying to have an open conversation with you. Once I've done, then I'll have a conversation with him. When you see perspective,
I'm happy for him to like sub in as well.
I'm not, because I would rather have a conversation with one person and try to understand their perspective. Because when I have conversation, do you understand what I mean, bro?
I understand what you mean.
Appreciate
Look,
it.
the whole point is this,
So
right?
I would prefer to finish with
I'm
him.
just going to ask him to ask you this, right? Because literally, it's been so long. Ask him if he believes that 1 + 1 is 2 is objectively true. Do you believe 1 + 1 is still objectively true?
Obviously, when someone is insulted it's like if someone insults my parents, I will be offended regardless if they're right or wrong, right? So obviously, if someone insults certain things which I value, like I value Jesus Christ, okay?
Yeah.
If someone said something wrong about him, it would insult me. Similarly, if they insulted Moses, it will insult me. Similarly,
We're not talking about
I know,
insults.
sorry, because obviously someone walking around was saying something which hurt me.
Oh, yeah, well...
As you may have heard, but sorry.
Okay.
I digress.
So could we focus on this discussion, right? So the question is 1 + 1 objectively 2? And the reason why he's asking this question, right, is because truth isn't mind dependent on humans, right?
Sorry?
The reason why he's asking this question is because truth isn't mind dependent on individual humans.
It's subjective, because your truth and my truth...
That's the issue. That's the whole point.
Exactly. See,
Okay, I have a good question.
The reality is, your truth, no matter what anyone else says, you won't believe it, except if you want to believe, and vice versa. So similarly, for example, I've never walked your shoes. No matter how much you describe how your life is, how you lived your life, how many people you came across, you can explain it, but I will never understand it from your perspective.
So you're saying truth is subjective. Is it objectively true that truth is subjective?
I don't really know what that means, but as I said what I said.
Can I explain what that means, right? By objective truth, we mean that something is true independent of human opinion, that it corresponds to reality, and it's not just something in which we are trying to say reality is like. So when you say truth is subjective, it sounds like you're saying what is true is just what is true to us. Now, I'm asking you this very specific question. Is what is true to us, is subjective truth, is it that truth is subjective, is that statement there objectively true?
I'm going to give it as an example rather than answering the question, because you're a smart person, so I know you will understand. Are you a man? I don't know if you are or not.
Yes.
Are there possibly men who say they're not men?
Yes.
Okay, now I can't convince other people to do what they want to do, but I believe as myself I am a man. Now, if hypothetically speaking, let's just say a person called Adam, the first man on earth, right? If he chose to be a woman, no matter what other people would have said, he would have accepted that. So you can't convince someone else. You can give them perspective, and they make their own decision on the truth they see or they hear.
So I think the problem is where we're arguing.
Face, so it's like I don't really know who you are. You've got it covered. So it's like, do I trust you or not? But for me, I have no reason not to trust you.
I think the problem here is that we're speaking past each other on at least what truth is, right? You are looking at truth from a subjective point of view. I'm not. When you use this example, right? It's not proving that. It's not actually answering the question, right? I'm trying to point you towards evidence that points us towards what is actually true. For example, 1 + 1 = 2 is objectively true. It could also be a subjective truth to someone as well.
Let me tell you
on 1 + 1. Wait, let me just finish what I was going to say. And 1 + 1 = 3 is true for some people. However, it's not objectively true. Now, when I'm engaging with you as an interlocutor, let me finish. When I'm engaging with you as an interlocutor, what I'm not trying to do is get you to change what you just think is true. I'm trying to use evidence to point us towards what is actually true. I'm trying to reason towards objective truth.
You see, this, as I was saying, as you said, certain people or certain groups accept certain things, right?
Yes.
Not necessarily everyone. Even, as I said, going back to the whole point in the first place, as I mentioned, your reality or your truth may or may not be different to mine.
Yeah.
Similarly with your friend here, his reality may or may not be different to yours. Now, if you guys align, then technically you would say he's a believer in what you believe in, right? And if it doesn't align, then you would say, well, he doesn't believe in what I believe in. What do I believe in? Amantu billahi wa malaikatihi. I believe in the true creator. Wa malaikatihi. And his angels. Wa kutubihi. And his books. All his books. Wa rusulihi. وَالْقَدْرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ مِنَ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. And that the fate of good and bad is from the true creator. وَالْبَعْثِ بَعْدَ الْمَوْتِ. And the true resurrection after death. Now, I don't intend or wish harm for anyone. All I want for humanity as a whole, genuinely, is that we learn to work together and with our differences, figure it out and find a way, like intellectuals we are, to sit and speak without jumping to conclusions. Because a lot of the times, as I said, how long have you guys known each other?
Like 2 years,
2 years.
2 years.
If you don't mind me asking, honestly, have you guys ever had any disagreements or possibly, I know you might not want to disclose, but you might have had disagreements, right?
We've probably had disagreements somewhere along the way.
Like generally speaking, as a husband and wife, normally, right, when there are men and married couples, they, throughout.
We're not a married couple, by the way.
I'm not assuming that. Don't worry about it. I'm just giving an example. Sorry, I should have clarified. I wasn't assuming that at all.
Of course.
I see you as a brother in humanity. I see him as a brother in humanity. And worst case scenario, if someone is, again, I hate the sin. I hate the sin, not the sinner.
Yes.
So if you've done something wrong in the past, now that's wrong, sir. But I still have no reason right now to not to have any ill feelings towards you. Does that make sense?
I think that you're a very nice and honourable person. But I think the problem here is we're speaking past each other because I'm asking you questions, and I think rather than addressing what I'm saying, we get into digressions, right?
Yes.
Because I'm speaking of this on the plane of trying to reason towards what is the objective truth, and it seems like you're saying it's fine if we disagree. I can completely.
Truth, from my perspective, is that there is a creator who created the heavens and the earth and all creation.
Okay.
And he sent men as messengers for guidance for the mankind.
Yeah.
And now people, as they do, have discords and disputes and disagreements.
Yes.
Which also is influenced by the devil, the Satan.
So now that you've admitted that those are your okay. Yeah.
And God has also sent books through the messengers and the prophets to guide us, but ultimately it lies upon the person individually to make the right decision, because God has given us free will. Now, whether we do something right or wrong, it's upon us, and we will be judged for it. Everyone else can judge, but it doesn't make a difference, because only the true God really is the only one who can judge. Now, who is that true God? There's misconception and misunderstandings. Hindu, for example, Hindu people, they believe in different idols as the true power of different things. So they believe in, like in the Greeks, they believe Zeus to be the god of sun or whatever, and different gods. All that is a misunderstanding, and the reality is a lot of people are genuinely trying to seek the truth and the true God, the true creator. I am not imposing that you become this religion or that religion. All I'm imposing on other people is open your eyes to the reality and do research. Do your own research and speak to people, because again, you will never believe. It's like, what's the best place that you like to eat?
The best place I like to eat.
What kind of food do you like?
Mediterranean food. I like.
Have you ever had what's it called? What's this place? Pitmaster in Manchester.
I've never been to Manchester.
Okay. Have you heard them? It's some I forgot what you call it. Roast beef.
I've had roast beef before. Yeah.
Okay. If I told you the one in Manchester is the best one there is, right? You have to eat it. Would you eat it?
I mean, I would probably try it, but again, there's a difference between.
The example which I was giving is because unless you want to do it yourself, no one can force you to do it.
But again, at the start of this discussion, we've laid it out clearly. We're just exchanging ideas to try to say what evidence leads us towards an objective truth, which is why I'm trying to, rather than just stay on this plane of just subjective. Wait, just let me, because you've been speaking for a while. I just want to be able to speak for an equal amount of time. So rather than just talking about it on this subjective plane, We're trying to offer evidence, rational argumentation, and philosophical discussion to point us towards what is objectively true, which is why I'd like to pivot us back towards the argument that we gave to show that the Islamic understanding of God would be insufficient to describe what we can know from natural theology.
It's difficult to fully explain due to the fact that how we understand the world now was different back then. So back in the days, do you understand crypto, the blockchain?
A bit.
Okay, so with the blockchain, for example, as an example, is through the chains. And as people back in the days didn't have this kind of technology, so to prove that the Quran or even the Injil, the Zabur, all these books, how to prove where they were, when they were, it's a bit difficult. So we have to rely on the technology or the norm of the time and how it received to us.
Yeah.
Now, along the way, things got corrupted because, again, people, sometimes because of their own personal.
What is your evidence for that, by the way?
Evidence for what?
For it was corrupted so badly that we don't have the original message.
Because my evidence is, see, similarly, people, I've got siblings, and we have sometimes discords and fights, right? Mm-hmm. And we're still from the same family, we be in the same religion, for example. Now, similarly, in different religion, there's discords, human beings, there's Christian countries fighting Christian countries.
I think the way in which Christian transmission of a text happens wouldn't allow for such a thing.
Sorry?
I think the way...
Keep in mind the first topic though, because he was trying to establish if there's any objective truth, and then he said it's objectively true that the truth exists.
I'm trying to explain, because it depends on how you look at it. So back in the days, there wasn't a way to know, like from Google, for example, was Muhammad there at that time, right? So there's no real way to know, was Muhammad alive ever?
But I understand your point. We're not really talking about Muhammad and the intricacies of each theologies. We're talking about, okay, is it objectively true that God exists, for example?
When you say objectively true,
mind independent, like even if that guy thinks God doesn't exist, he's objectively wrong.
I agree with you on the basis that this tree, I would not say this tree came out of nowhere, right? I believe, generally speaking, someone might have planted the seed or it came there by itself, however, and then it grew.
So you would agree that it is objectively true, right? You'd agree with
I'm not saying objectively, I'm just saying as it is.
Well, the reason why is because if we can't agree on this fundamental axiom in the discussion, we're not going to actually be able to have a discussion surrounding this topic.
Objectively, subjectively, certain words are misconstrued because of which people have misunderstandings. So
yes, but we've given you the cognitive content of the word and what it means.
If someone calls me a lion, I won't be offended. But the next man calls me a lion, I'll be like, what are you calling me a lion for?
Yeah.
Right? But you've heard me, and I give you permission to call me a lion, which is fine.
Yes.
Right? You know why I said call me a lion, because my name isn't really lion, it's the translation of my name is Lion of the Merciful, right?
Yes.
But you've heard that, because now it's recorded. This is the problem. If we were speaking without being recorded, it would be easier for me to speak to you openly without saying things which could be misconstrued.
Yes,
does that make sense?
So what we've done at the start of this to avoid this misconfusion is we've defined what objective means and we've defined what subjective means. And to do that, wait. But the way in which language works in philosophy is words don't have inherent meanings, right? Words get their meanings from how the community that uses the word uses it, right? So what we are doing is we are appealing to...
I can disagree with that, and I can give you an example, right? If I say, name me a plant. The words are name me a plant. Name me a plant. 3 words. Name me, 4.
Do you think those words have inherent meaning?
My question is, I'm thinking of a plant.
Yep.
Name me a plant. Which plant am I thinking of?
Well, I can't say which plant you're thinking of.
Name me any plant.
Venus flytrap.
Right. I was thinking of a chili plant, right? It's the words, inherent meanings, but the understanding is still 2 different things.
No, because you're in that. No, wait. But this is a bad example, right? Because when you say name me a plant, you're not asking me for the definition of plant. You're asking me for a particular instance of a plant. When I hear the word plant, we're going to think of the biological organism, which is what we would define as a plant, as a shared usage. Now, the thing is, though, I think we would both agree that the word plant doesn't have an inherent meaning.
Okay, but again, it depends, right? If I say to you, name me a white Vauxhall car.
Okay, again, with this example, if I name you a particular white Vauxhall car, right, that's a particular instance of that car.
Right,
but what
now,
we're interested in isn't the definitions of particular instances of things, but the words in which you just used in the sentence.
This is what I'm trying to say. You will only answer, and vice versa, say myself, only from based on what a person has learned, seen, grew up around, heard, or watched, or thought themselves. Right? Does that make sense?
I don't see how this is
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it looks like there's going to be some trouble today.
I mean, I can go speak to her if you want and save the trouble.
It's fine. I don't think that.
See,
I think her approach attracts.
I don't want anyone to fight.
Yeah, I just think
to
that.
Stop the fight.
I think the way she approaches things may.
I would love to speak with her.
I mean, you can go ahead and speak with her. I'm just going to wrap up very quickly for the cameras.
Okay. I don't mind. I don't want anyone to fight and.
Yeah, of course.
Can you come with me?
Well, I'm going to be here and just wrap up, and then I'll be there. Okay.
Okay. I would rather. Could I hear you?
I will be there in a moment.
Okay, because I don't want misunderstandings of what I
well,
say.
you can be present when I'm wrapping up for the camera. Okay.
That's fine.
So, in this discussion, right, we've discussed many things such as is truth subjective and objective.
Yes.
We've discussed the usage of the philosophy of language.
Yep.
We've also discussed the nature of God. Now, my point in the discussion was to try to reason towards objective truth using philosophical arguments. I don't think we quite managed to reach the apex of some of those points because obviously the discussion would go on for a very long time because I think, no offense, but I do think some things were digressions in the topics that we were speaking about.
True.
But with that being said, I do think that you're a very honourable person, and I think that this was a good discussion for people to realise how we should use proper etiquette at Speaker's Corner rather than just, maniacally shouting. With that being said, my name's Thomas Apologia. If you want to find my channel, you can find it at Thomas Apologia on YouTube, and God bless you all.
Can I shout my name out?
Yeah, of course.
My name is Hamzatul Rahman. Watch me on Insta, and it means Lion of the Merciful. I'm just gonna go speak to her so she doesn't carry on causing it.
I did think that your name would be Hamza because I'm aware there's a guy called Hamza's Den that comes here that calls himself the Lion.
Well,
so
I'm going to the
check
Dragon's
this
Den.
out. Yeah.
Who's this?
I have no clue who these are. Which one of these are yours?
Yeah, this one of this is Bob's here.
Because your brain is with that filthy Muhammad.
No.
Your brain is locked by that donkey Muhammad.
There's no
Let's wrap up and leave it here.
Wrap up here? Yeah.
What do you want to say?
So, to conclude the discussion that we had earlier, we spoke about many things. My friend SY was a part of the discussion as well. I'd move it here. Just move all the cameras here then.
That one is for.
So, to conclude the discussion that we just had, right? I think there was there we go. So, I think ultimately in the discussion that we just had, there was a fundamental misunderstanding of what truth is. Now, granted, we can talk about the distinction between subjective, which is mind-dependent truth, and objective truth, which would be mind-independent. What we're ultimately trying to work towards when we're having a discussion with our philosophical interlocutor is towards the objective truth. And we're going to do that through arguments, evidence, philosophical points, etc. Right? And that's what me and SY tried to do throughout the discussion. However, the problem is that the gentleman seemed to have a pluralistic view of reality. Now, we asked him, is it objectively true that truth is subjective? He didn't answer, but rather replied with a analogy, which didn't really address the point.
Analogy.
Yes, an analogy that didn't really address the point. And then we tried to get towards objective truth about the God of Islam and whether we can metaphysically critique the God of Islam and if the God of Islam is the true God. Now, I don't think the God of Islam is the true description of who God is, which is why I think it's a fundamental flaw in their theology, and I gave a criticism of that in the discussion which went unanswered. However, granted to the gentleman, he's a very nice person, he has great etiquette, but I just think there was a lot of speaking past each other in that discussion, and we didn't actually manage to reach the apex of the points in which we wanted to make. My name's Thomas Apologia. This is CriticalThomist. You can find us on YouTube at those channel names there. With that being said, God bless you all. If you want to say anything else, SY, go ahead. Okay, well, God bless you all. God bless.